seated in Mount Zion. True love I know exists, cause the love I can't resist. So, jam by my side, yeah. I wanna jam it with you.
All right, good morning. Oh, you know what? I got to keep that part for 1 second.
We're jamming. I wanna jam with you now. We're jamming.
Nothing like a little Bob Marley radio on a Wednesday. Hope everyone's feeling good. My name is Scott Redler. I'm the Chief Strategic Officer. It is 6:34. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late. I have a lot of things going on, so I needed to log in and adjust some positions. We jamming, right? Today I did the 20 at 5:20 in the sauna, and then I did the ice barrel, and I was talking about rhythm. It's always good when you're like in a little rhythm. Sometimes you can be knocked out of a rhythm in the market, and you feel like you're chasing, and then you're not in it, and then you're one position away, and then sometimes you feel like you're in a good rhythm, you got good positions, you're selling some strength, you're buying a dip, you're adding through positions or through highs, and things are just kind of coming together. So anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves at this point. SPYs are up again, right? You got the PPI and CPI today. At this point, the SPYs are up $1.70. So coming right into the highs of the year, just like that. Wait, it's September 10th. Aren't we supposed to be in some kind of corrective phase? Isn't that what the media and everybody's telling you we should be doing? But meanwhile, we just grind along. Every time that we've come in, every time that the active bears try to, show that they have anything, they never had any power. You had the 21-day here that held in June that caused another active sequence. This gap down, this was your day to reduce and filled the gap and continued. And then here you go again, filled the gap, and now we're just kind of working our way higher. Qs look like they're ready to just, make another new all-time high just like that. Again, when you're above the 21-day, again, he came in, filled the gap. This was your day to try and get back into some longs, and here we go on our way up. Anyway, it's pretty friggin' sick what Oracle's doing today, right? Everyone's like, oh my God, we're in a meme market. Meanwhile, I didn't take Oracle. Okay, which I'm not going to lie and beat my chest and say, oh, I'm making gazillions. But if I were to take it, I would have probably bought a $260 set of calls because that would have been the all-time high. And now if you look at Oracle, Oracle is up $73. So right there, you would have literally, that's why you take options into earnings, because every now and then you friggin' kill one. But I will say something that was good that's going to make me some really good money is NVIDIA today. So, at the end of the day, NVIDIA had a nice move. Like NVIDIA all of a sudden woke up, and if you look at it into the end of the day yesterday, just felt like something was going on. And in the last part of the day, I got long stock, I got long options, and it's up well. So, at that point though, it was like 347, and I talk about your go time and trusting your instincts and just going when something looks and goes like that, and boom, NVIDIA was great. I bought a lot of NVIDIA shares. I have options from the day before, and we'll see how much of it holds. Like this is a spot, this 176.50. NVIDIA right now has a little bit of room into that area, but it kind of just woke up towards the end of the day, so that was good. So anyway, I'll trim some NVIDIA. So people are talking about Wolf, like Red Dog. Good job with Iron, Wolf, and NBIS. I didn't have CIFR, but yesterday, if you remember, I was telling you guys that I was accumulating the Wolf, WLF, thinking that it's in the same group ish as NBIS and IREN. And look how that turned up really well. You could have been buying this all day yesterday, all day. And then I even posted the weekly chart. I'm like, guys, look at the weekly chart. Look how beautiful this is. Big move, above resistance, bull flag. So this is on its way, I think, to like 14 or more. Look at it. Look what happened last time this thing got crazy. Went to 43. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that was a nice thing to do yesterday. So anyway, Wolf was a nice accumulate all day. Now trim and trail. IREN, I've been talking about in the 630 Club, is a new piece of business. Like, look at this from here. What a move. My guys have been selling puts, buying calls. This is about to take out the all-time high of, whatever this high is of $30. Look how this held the 8 day. Everything came in, it held the 8 day. I got to give it to Todd from the Alpha team. He was all over it. My buddy Brian's been all over it, and chances are you probably could, trim and trail there. But this was a new name. Again, new names happen, and this is a new name that people are making a lot of money from. And then I want to give a little bit of, a lot of guys were crying about Robinhood. Like, Red Dog, you didn't play options for the addition into the S&P 500. I'm like, stop your crying, and let's figure out a way to make money there. So on Monday, guys were buying it, okay, and then on Tuesday yesterday at the 630 Club, people like, Red Dog, it's down $2-3. I'm like, it's allowed to be down a little bit. It just had a big day into resistance. Let's buy the dip. And then yesterday, if you bought the dip, it went green. It's up a little bit. And right there, instead of crying that you didn't have it for the S&P 500 inclusion, which still was tough to make money, you could have been a buyer here versus 110. Then yesterday, gave you a nice little dip to buy. And it's not up a whole lot, but here you are at 119-ish. So I just actually trimmed a little bit. That I added yesterday. That's how you use a tier system. If you just say, example, just say in this day you bought 500 shares. Then you added, because it was down $2 yesterday, you added another 300 shares. And now you have 800 shares. All of a sudden it takes out the high from Monday and goes to 118.50. You then sell the 300 shares. You're still in the 500 shares. And then all of a sudden, now here at 119.30, you get down to 300 shares and then you hold it. You could do that with thousands also. I'm just trying to make it relatable. Okay, so that is how you use a tier system. Buy 1,000 shares in here, add 500, now you have 1,500, goes above a prior high. Some people would even add there. Now you're at 2,000. Then all of a sudden it gets another dollar. You get back down to 1,500 or 1,000 to what you originally had. You added cash around your position, and then now you're trimming some into 119.30. That's the definition of the tier system. But anyway, Kenneth, you did tell me to play GME. Remember, we talked about that yesterday. I showed you this little pattern here. I'm like, you know what? Everyone's left GME for dead. I didn't play it. What's it doing this morning? Let's see how you're getting paid. Ooh, good job, Kenneth. So if you were in the 630 Club yesterday, and Kenny was right here, let's give Kenny some props. That's why, it's good to have friends around the world. This is why we do this, to kind of talk a little bit of strategy. So Golden Sunlight is GME. Ken, I think you were the one who said, what's it called? GME has been left for dead, and they've been buying crypto and doing their thing. So great. Congratulations. So that is, again, why people tune into the 630 Club. That is why I've been doing this since 2020. This is kind of like what we do all day long with the Alpha team. For those of you who want to try the Alpha team, next week we have an open house where you could be with the Alpha team the entire week for free. We hang out, you guys see positions, and we listen to some music, some pep talk, and you get to watch, my trades. And literally, what's even the best thing about the Alpha team is that there's like 500 people there all day long, posting news, posting charts, doing their thing. You guys just get 20 minutes for free, which is awesome. And a lot of you guys have been found from here to there. I've been doing this for free just to try and add some value to the community out there. And usually I get in trouble because I give out way too much for free. So anyway, and by the way, for those of you who subscribed to Red Dog Mindset and did the workout with me this morning, that's great. At some point in the next 3 to 4, I don't even know, next 2 to 3 months, a lot of things are going to be like changed, where there's going to, I might not even have a public Twitter anymore. It might be just my subscription base, because I'm sick of these bots and I'm sick of everyone attaching to it. So I want a real Twitter feed where it's real people that interact. And yes, there'll be a cost to it. $10, 30 cents a day to be, get, 1 or 2 or 3 charts. But listen, these guys pay $100 a month and they get 40 charts and they get to see my positions 3-4 times. But anyway, get grandfathered in for $10. I would do that if I were you. So let's move on. Valerie Datswick. Good morning, Mr. Redler. It's Redler, Redler, not Riddler, but they called me that in high school. Thank you very much for your time and knowledge every morning. You teach me a lot in your lifestyle. All right, that's awesome. They say if you want high standards, you better raise your standards, right? So anyway, so GME was good. I did not play it. Congratulations if you did. It was a great idea from yesterday. Wolf was my idea from yesterday. Looks good. It's up a little bit. Iron. NBIS. If you think it's going to continue, what you could do here for NBIS real quickly is just like a pro earnings gap. You're inverse the low. You're inverse 63.80, and then within time it might need to consolidate, and then you could add to it when it takes that out. But in order for this to be special, it has to hold there. Oh, one other thing I brought up yesterday was Pony. I did buy a decent amount of Pony yesterday. This is Pony AI. China's been pretty hot. A few of my institutional guys like it. It's been under accumulation. It kind of just woke up yesterday. In stock and options. It hasn't really, done what people think, but it's, maybe it's in the right sector, right time now to continue to go. So it might need a day of rest. It might not. But bottom line is I am pretty decent sized there, and I'm going to stay with it. By the way, a lot of you guys are very happy because China finally made us a lot of money, which is true. 2 weeks ago, I put Baba on as a power play, and I also spoke to you guys about it here. But at least with the power plays and power plays options, I just give an alert and say, hey, buy Baba, 128 calls, or buy Baba 140s. That's what I did right in here. On this day, I'm like, guys, with power plays, Mike, my editor, sends it out and says, hey, buy the 140 calls for Baba. We switched out of them, and boom, sold over half yesterday. That was a nice trade. And now I would think it needs a little time to digest above 144.65. So this is 144.65. So as this has been working, I did, kind of spread out a little bit, and we went to Baidu, which was a name from back in the day that I used to make a lot of money from. Remember, we bought Baidu, the hundreds and 105s. Well, look how nice this move was. So all of a sudden now it's like, wow, we got 2 Chinese names. So, but the K-Web was breaking out. So here you go with, as long as this holds above here, seems like Baidu is going to be on its way to 113 or more, maybe even 155. So that was added. Then I'm like, all right, we're doing really well with Baba and Baidu. Let's go with JD. So JD, I've been buying. I started last week. It was just kind of like an anticipation. In here, I was buying the $33 calls for October 11th. And I said, where can we get to? The 200 day. Look at that. We're at the 200 day. I took half off yesterday. I don't use a tier system. I like to do, take trades. Sometimes I'm a little upset that I take too much off, but I took half off, and now we'll see. This, last time this thing went to 47, but for me, this was a nice size trade, and I took off half, and we'll see. Tiger is another name that's kind of hanging here. So, if you're in Tiger, it was a little weaker yesterday. being versus 11-17s, but that's already 4 Chinese names. I don't want to be in more than them. Anyway, with that being said, they've worked out pretty well. Morning, Scott. Have I looked at Mr.? I have. Mr.'s been very tough. Mr., has been grinding lower as crypto's been kind of consolidating. I guess you could say, it's compressed. Mr. is compressed here, Joe. So if you were thinking that Bitcoin's going back to 122,000 or more, you would think that there could be a trade here for Mr. But I almost would just rather, at this point, I would rather just see you go in the underlying. Go with the IBIT. It's very tight here. We're now September 10th. You guys remember last year's turkey trot? I had the turkey trot. For some reason, Bitcoin loves to run. At some point it starts in October, goes through Thanksgiving. Then on Thanksgiving, your mother-in-law starts talking to you about, let's buy Bitcoin, let's buy this. And meanwhile, it just moved. So there's a pre-Thanksgiving move that happens all the time with crypto. Last time it was like right around, where was that turkey trot? Remember the turkey trot? So this woke up here. November 5th, it actually woke up. So we're only in September. So I don't know how long this consolidation phase is going to last, but you know what? Keep it on alert. Ethereum also is getting really tight, so it's had a nice consolidation. Remember, we were buying the $22 calls here, so that looked pretty damn good. And I told you guys yesterday, my guys who think they know it all are buying SOLT, thinking that this is going to have a major breakout. This is Sol. They think Sol might even have a better move than Ethereum, but we shall see. Either which way, that's that. Palantir, yes, Palantir woke up. Look at that. Look at that candle. Look at that little candle. Finally, Palantir was so tight. What's it doing this morning? Hopefully giving some guys some follow through. PLTR, look at that, up $3. I talk about a day one. Sometimes a day one leads to a day two, and this was a nice day one here for Palantir. Solid trim and trail. Congratulations there. Scott, I cannot ever remember a large company like Oracle up that much. It's true. I hear you. So, you know what? Some people again, Red Dog, this isn't going to end well. Look at Oracle. I'm like, this isn't going to end well. It's not a trading strategy. I've been hearing that my entire career. If you want to buy some puts, if you want to short something, whatever it is you want to do, that's fine. But just because Oracle is up 30%, you can't be saying this isn't going to end well. It is what it is. Hopefully you're in some, or hopefully, there are a lot of people that have Oracle in long-term 401ks and IRAs or whatever it's in. But anyway, so with that being said, we'll see. Some people like, what do I think of Apple? So Apple's kind of interesting. Apple I did really well with, like very well with, from right here. This was my August 6th entry, and we did sell some. I bought some back, and I sold my Apple into here. So what did I do yesterday? Yesterday, I bought some calls into the weakness, thinking that maybe today we get a reversal, because they always sell the news on Apple. They always do it. They're always able to do it. And then the real action happens the next day. So if Apple goes down another $4 today, I have calls that won't work on Friday. If Apple goes from red to green and the buyback machine turns on and all the fast money's out of the trade, and then everyone's like, oh, well, who cares? It's not revolutionary. It's still a great product line that people are going to have to. I'm going to get myself a new iPhone. Oh, by the way, it's my wife and Chase. Look how big Chase got, by the way. He's been eating his Wheaties. Anyway, we'll see if Apple does a red dog reversal today. 233.37, 233.37 is the low from yesterday. If Apple is going to do anything worthwhile, it's going to reclaim 233.37, hopefully hold the 21-day and give you a bottom tail. If it's just down another day, then who knows? Maybe you have to see what they're going to do with their AI, if they're going to have a foldable phone, et cetera, et cetera. Look at Meta. All right, let's look at Meta. Meta's getting a little bit better. Meta, I said you could be long versus 745. It's got an inside range. It's got a whole void here to fill. Meta's been out of play. What's Meta doing this morning? It's down 60 cents, doing nothing. It's funny how the things change, guys. You have to always be moving your feet. Look at Microsoft also. Oh, thank you. Microsoft's up 3. I bought some Microsoft calls yesterday, by the way. I did, because I'm just like, this thing's got to friggin' wake up. But it's horrendous to trade. So now let's see what happens here. This is 502.25. If Microsoft is going to wake up, if it's going to wake up, if it's got to get above and stay above 502.25 first. I bought the 5-10 calls, not for this Friday, for next Friday, yesterday from Microsoft. This thing's been sold down since 5:55. This day was horrendous. I thought it was going to get above 510. It didn't happen. But anyway, so Floor Guy says Avago's looking good. So Avago, I'll give you a quick little strategy there. 331 is the low right here. Look, this is a little tough though. All of a sudden you open up and it goes red again. Like, that's not the easiest trade. I'm just saying, at least for me. What's it doing this morning? It's up another 8. So it had to close on the dead lows to open up another 8. To me, that's kind of annoying. But again, we'll see how that goes. Someone's saying, what about RR? RR is like a little guy. So I have some little guys. RR looks good. I bought RR 2 days ago. I added to it yesterday. That has some room there. I bought some RGTI. This is a computing name. Why did I buy it? Because look at this nice little day one. Look at this nice channel here. I think you could buy a dip here. What's leading the way in quantum? Look at this IONQ. Nice little wake up day. Nice long channel above the moving averages. It's not up this morning, but maybe you could buy some. What's all this talk about Elon competing against? I hear you. I lost money in there, Sam. So Sam wants to know, why is ASTS so bad? You know what? Right here is when technically it said get the hell out of the way, right? Almost looks like a head and shoulders top. Right here, when it broke 46, was your way to get out of your shares. It looked okay right here, and then that happened. So someone always knows something, and now it's working its way all the way down to the 200-day. Momentum names are special, especially air stocks that have concept plays when they're above the 821 day. That was here, took out a level here, then took out the highs there, and then still held the 821 day. But once you're below the 821 day, you got to give things some time. But I hear you. The what Marshall says, QUBT week, yeah, big cup and handle. So we got to see if these quantum names wake up. So if you're into quantum names and you trade them as a group, IONQ looks like the best one. Just opened up, maybe it goes red to green. I'm sure QUBT looks kind of similar. It did day one yesterday down here. Sometimes better to buy in the bottom end of the range instead of up here. Is that the one you want, QUBT? And then look at QBTS. Looking decent. Last time it broke out of a big channel, it had a nice move. So anyway, right now I don't have Google. Google was a huge trade for my community. Huge for power plays, huge for everything. I get out on this day. It happens. I thought this was a little topping tail. I thought it would be a little bit of a rest, but it's a good lesson there. Some guys, when I get out, they're like, Red Dog, you're getting out, I'm getting short. I'm like, just because I'm getting out doesn't mean you should get short. It just means that it's hard to buy and it needs a rest. And those guys who were short yesterday got a little hurt. Same thing happened with Baidu. I got out of Baidu yesterday. I did. And some guys like, well, I'm going to get short then if you're getting out. I'm like, sometimes it's just it might not be a good entry and a good setup. Doesn't mean it's a short, and now Baidu's up a little bit this morning. But anyway, all right. Hut looking good. Yeah, it's looking good. Hood's overbought. All right. Well, where's Hood right now? Hood is up 85 cents. Yeah. Hood's overbought, but Hood just had a nice, gap up. It's clearing an area. I would not be shorting Hood. I would trim into this 119.50, 120.50, but I wouldn't be shorting Hood. Hims looks good here. Adam says, what? Let me look at Hims. I haven't looked at Hims in a while. Fair. I wouldn't say good. Looks fair. Hims, let's see. Up $1 this morning. Remember X what was XLV that we talked about yesterday? Yeah, look at that little trade there. Held 136. Looks like it's on its way to break this small little downtrend because of UNH. UNH, I've also charted for you guys a bunch of times. You had the gap up. Some guys were long versus 294. Held the 8-day. That's one of my strategies. If something's above the 8-day, you try and be long. And now it's on its way to this gap fill. That was a nice trade that helped that sector. NVIDIA. I am long NVIDIA. I'm long NVIDIA options. I bought the stock yesterday for the first time in a while. I'm trimming. I feel like there's some room into this 176 area. I also have the 172.50 calls I bought down here, and I'll be trimming that. I don't expect it to be a rip-roaring leadership all-time high trade, but it was a nice targeted move. MSOS, some guys bought that back yesterday. Intel, I'm in Intel also, but it shouldn't be a focus. Intel could drive you to, could have you go to sleep. You're probably better off just going out a month. They're really cheap and buy like the $26 calls. And if it's going to come out with some news and get some orders or do whatever, you can make a lot of money there. Or be long verse 23.60. I'm in small. I might buy some options. It's hanging here. But again, you can't just be trading Intels. If you have a portfolio approach, you could have some trades on that are within your parameters. But if you're just like trading Intel all day long, you're probably not making much money, and you probably have less hair on your forehead than I have. All right, guys, I appreciate you. Listen, sign up for the open house next week. It's next Tuesday to Friday. If you love the 630 Club and if you get great ideas and you make money, subscribe to Red Dog Mindset, because in the months ahead, you're going to probably lose access to the 630 Club and maybe even my public Twitter. All right, guys, I'll see you guys later.